Dogs do something extraordinary when humans speak to them. Not just listening, not reacting to tone, actually trying to process meaning. In 2021, researchers at Lorand University in Hungary discovered that dogs who consistently learned the names of toys tilted their heads far more often when hearing familiar words than dogs who couldn't. The tilt almost always happened at the exact moment the dog recognized the object being requested. Pause. Not randomly, not because it sounded cute, because something meaningful was happening inside the dog's brain. The researchers found that these gifted dogs tilted their heads in response to familiar words in roughly 43% of trials. Other dogs did it only around 2% of the time. That gap is enormous, and it suggests that head tilting may not just be a quirky behavior. It may be connected to attention, memory, and the way dogs process important information from humans, which changes the way you see that little tilt completely. Because the next time your dog angles their head while you speak, you may not be looking at confusion. You may be watching concentration. Humans tend to assume dogs understand the world mostly through instinct. Smell something, hear something, react automatically. But modern canine neuroscience paints a very different picture. Dogs are constantly trying to interpret human behavior. They watch faces, study body language, track vocal patterns, memorize routines, and associate sounds with outcomes. Over thousands of years living beside humans, dogs evolved into specialists at reading us. In some ways, better than any other animal on Earth. And the head tilt may be one of the clearest visible signs of that process happening in real time. To understand why, you have to go much deeper than the internet explanations. Because the common theories people repeat online are usually incomplete. Some say dogs tilt their heads to hear better. Others say they do it to look cute because humans reward the behavior. Some believe it helps them see around their snout more clearly. And parts of those explanations may be true. But none fully explain why head tilting appears so strongly during moments of communication. Especially verbal communication tied to meaning. That's where the science becomes fascinating. Dogs live in a world dominated by sound long before sight. A dog's hearing range is dramatically wider than ours. Humans typically hear frequencies between 20 Hz and 20,000 Hz. Dogs can detect frequencies reaching beyond 45,000 Hz depending on breed and age. But hearing is not the same as interpreting. Your dog doesn't just hear your voice. They analyze it. Tone, rhythm, emotional state, familiar words, context, timing. And over years together, dogs build an internal map of what human sounds predict. Your footsteps at night mean bedtime. The sound of keys means departure. A certain tone means praise. Another tone means disappointment. And specific words, walk, outside, toy, treat, ball, become attached to memory networks inside the brain. This matters because head tilting appears most often when dogs encounter information worth processing carefully. Not random noise, relevant information. One of the most important studies ever conducted on this topic was published in Animal Cognition in 2021 by researchers Andrea Samis, Shani Dror, Claudia Fagazza, and Adam McCloskey at Lorand University. The study focused on what researchers called gifted word learner dogs. These were dogs capable of learning the names of multiple objects, something surprisingly rare among dogs overall. Most dogs can learn a few words connected to routines. Sit, stay, walk, dinner. But these dogs could memorize the names of dozens of individual toys and retrieve them correctly. The researchers wanted to understand whether head tilting was associated with word recognition. So they designed controlled experiments where owners asked dogs to fetch specific toys by name from another room. The setup was carefully controlled to avoid accidental cues from the owners. And what they found was remarkable. The gifted dogs tilted their heads frequently when hearing the toy names, usually immediately after the word was spoken and before moving to retrieve the object. Even more interesting, each dog tended to tilt consistently toward the same side. Almost like a neurological preference, similar to handedness in humans. Meanwhile, the typical dogs, even under identical conditions, almost never tilted their heads. Not occasionally, almost never. The difference was statistically massive. This suggests the tilt is connected not to general excitement, but to cognitive processing linked to meaningful auditory stimuli. In simple terms, the dogs appeared to tilt their heads when trying to mentally connect a word to stored memory. Think about what that means inside your own home. When you say something important to your dog and they tilt their head, you may be watching them search memory, trying to identify patterns, trying to resolve uncertainty, trying to connect sound with meaning. And if you pay close attention, many dogs tilt most during emotionally important moments. When you ask a question in an unusual tone, when you say the name of a favorite person, when you mention a word connected to a strong memory, when your voice suddenly changes emotionally. Owners often notice this instinctively. A dog may ignore normal conversation for 10 minutes straight, but the second they hear "Park, Grandma," or the name of another dog, the head tilt appears instantly. That selective reaction matters, because it shows dogs are not passively hearing language. They are filtering it, prioritizing information that matters to them personally. And there may be another layer happening underneath all of this: emotion. In 2016, researchers at the University of Sussex, led by Dr. Victoria Ratcliffe and Professor David Rebbe, published a major study in Biology Letters examining how dogs process emotional information in human voices. The researchers played human speech carrying different emotional tones while monitoring which side dogs oriented toward first. What they discovered suggested that dogs process emotional vocal cues asymmetrically in the brain, meaning different hemispheres specialize in different kinds of information. This is important because brain lateralization is associated with complex cognitive processing across many intelligent species. Humans do it too. The left hemisphere is often more involved in language processing. The right is often more connected to emotional interpretation. Dogs appear to show similar patterns, and the consistent directional head tilts observed in the Hungarian study may reflect this neurological organization. In other words, the tilt may not just be physical. It may be cognitive architecture becoming visible. This helps explain why dogs often tilt their heads most dramatically during emotionally loaded communication. Not commands they hear every day, but moments requiring interpretation. Moments where tone and meaning must be combined. Imagine your dog hears you say, "Do you want to go see Grandma?" That sentence contains emotional associations, memories, future prediction, and social meaning. Your dog may recognize the word grandma, associate it with a person they love, anticipate the car ride, recall previous visits, and detect excitement in your tone simultaneously. That is not simple conditioning anymore. That is layered processing. And the head tilt may occur during the exact moment the brain organizes those competing streams of information. What makes this even more fascinating is that dogs evolved specifically for this kind of human communication. Wolves, despite being highly intelligent, generally do not read human communicative cues nearly as effectively as domestic dogs. Over thousands of years, humans unconsciously selected dogs that paid attention to us. Dogs that could anticipate behavior, interpret gestures, recognize emotional states, respond cooperatively. Eventually, dogs became uniquely tuned to human social signals. Researchers sometimes describe dogs as being hyper-attentive to humans, and you can see evidence of that everywhere. Dogs follow pointing gestures better than chimpanzees in some experiments. They monitor eye contact constantly. They detect emotional stress from human scent. They synchronize behavior with owners during walks and routines. And they spend extraordinary amounts of time simply watching us. The head tilt fits perfectly into that broader evolutionary picture. It is not an isolated cute behavior. It is part of a communication system built over thousands of years of coexistence. Now think about your own dog again. There are probably moments where the head tilt appears predictably. Maybe when you use a strange voice. Maybe when you ask a question. Maybe when you say certain names. Maybe when you sound sad. Some dogs tilt more when hearing high-pitched emotional speech. Others do it when trying to locate unusual sounds. Some seem to do it during concentrated listening. And importantly, not all dogs tilt equally. That matters too, because canine cognition varies enormously between individuals. Some dogs are highly language-oriented, Others depend more heavily on visual or scent information. Breed differences may also matter. Dogs bred for close cooperative work with humans, like Border Collies, Poodles, Golden Retrievers, and Australian Shepherds, often show heightened sensitivity to human communicative signals, but personality matters just as much. A highly observant dog living in a communication-rich environment may develop stronger attention toward human speech over time, especially if humans frequently reinforce engagement. And yes, reinforcement probably does play some role eventually. Humans love head tilts. We react emotionally to them instantly. We smile, laugh, speak affectionately, which means dogs may learn that tilting produces positive social outcomes. But that does not mean the original behavior was created for manipulation. The science suggests the opposite direction. The tilt likely began as a genuine processing behavior connected to attention and cognition. Humans then reinforced it because we found it emotionally compelling. That distinction matters, because it changes the behavior from performance into communication. Your dog is not necessarily pretending to listen. They may actually be trying to understand. When you combine the findings from both major studies, a much deeper picture emerges. The Hungarian research shows that head tilting is strongly associated with meaningful word recognition. The Sussex research suggests dogs process emotional vocal information using specialized neurological systems. Together, they point toward something extraordinary. The dog head tilt may represent the visible intersection between emotion, memory, and language processing. A physical expression of active interpretation. Not reflex, not randomness, interpretation. And that is a far more sophisticated behavior than most people realize. Because understanding humans is one of the hardest cognitive tasks any non-human species has ever evolved to do. Human communication is chaotic. Our voices change constantly. Our words vary. Our emotional states fluctuate. Yet dogs navigate this complexity every day with astonishing success. And sometimes, for just a second, the effort becomes visible through a simple tilt of the head. There are also practical things every dog owner should understand from this research. First, your dog is paying closer attention to your voice than you probably realize. Not just commands, emotional tone, consistency, patterns, stress, frustration, excitement. Dogs absorb enormous amounts of information from how humans speak, not just what we say. Second, communication clarity matters. Dogs learn words more effectively when paired consistently with meaningful experiences. If you constantly change phrases, tones, or cues, understanding becomes harder. The dogs in the Hungarian study succeeded because words had stable associations over time. Consistency creates comprehension. Third, attention is emotional. Dogs listen hardest when something matters emotionally to them. That means your relationship itself shapes communication ability. A deeply bonded dog often pays more attention to subtle human cues because those cues have become personally important. Your dog is not just learning language mechanically. They are learning you, and there's one more implication that may matter most of all. When your dog tilts their head during conversation, it may be one of the rare moments where you can literally watch cognition happening. Visible thought. A living creature trying to bridge the gap between species. Trying to connect your sounds, emotions, routines, and intentions into something understandable. That effort is extraordinary when you really think about it. Because dogs did not evolve language the way humans did. Yet somehow, through thousands of years beside us, they learned to enter our communicative world anyway. Partially, imperfectly, but remarkably well. And maybe that is why the head tilt affects humans emotionally so strongly. Because instinctively we recognize what it represents. Tension, curiosity, connection, an animal trying to understand us. The next time your dog tilts their head while you speak, resist the urge to see it as just a funny habit. Look carefully at the timing. What word triggered it? What emotion was present? What your dog may have been trying to process in that exact moment. Because behind that tiny movement is one of the most fascinating relationships in the animal world. A mind shaped by evolution to listen to another species, and still trying every single day to understand us better.